Hi folks, it's Mita. In this video, I will be explaining you guys about a certain material that I have prepared for you guys. And the title of the material is Regular and Irregular Verbs. In order to use verbs in English tenses, we need to know the past forms of the verbs. All verbs have their base form, for example, see, make, run, drink, eat, and many more. There are two types of verb in past forms, which are called regular verbs and irregular verbs. Now, some of you must be wondering what's the difference between regular verbs and irregular verbs. Well, I've prepared some explanations for you guys, so now we'll learn about the difference between regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs. Regular verbs can be described as verbs that follow the standard rule or pattern in changing the base form into simple past and past participle forms. While regular verbs have their own standard rule or pattern, irregular verbs don't have any rule or pattern in changing the base form into simple past and past participle forms. Now, let's learn further and deeper about regular verbs and irregular verbs. First, we got regular verbs, the pattern that used in changing the base form into simple past and past participle is we should add suffixes like d, ed, or ied to the base form. When the base form ends with a vowel, we use d as the suffix. For example, close becomes closed in both past forms, and arrive becomes arrived in both past forms. Next, when the base form ends with a consonant, we use ed as the suffix. For example, walk becomes walked in both past forms, call becomes called in both past forms. And last, when the base form ends with letter Y, then we should replace the letter Y to letter I first. So the suffix will be ied. For example, cry becomes cried in both past forms, and fry becomes fried in both past forms. Irregular verbs. As what I said before, unlike irregular verbs have no specific rule or pattern. There are irregular verbs that have their base forms changed to completely different words in past forms. For example, the base form do becomes did in simple past form and becomes done in past participle form. The next one, the base form speak becomes spoke in simple past form and becomes spoken in past participle form. And the last one, the base form fall becomes fell in simple past form and becomes fallen in past participle form. Beside that, there are also irregular verbs that have their base forms not changed at all in past forms. For example, the base form put will remain the same both in simple past and past participle forms. The same also goes to the base form let. Well folks, that's all about the material for this video. I hope you guys can understand my explanations. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.